All right, what's going on, guys? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago on a Monday, and it's going to be another Monday Mukbang day. I'm going to try that again, see how that goes. I'm also trying a new audio setup, so hopefully that works for you guys. If you guys can do me a favor, if you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up or give me something to let me know that you can hear me. I think that everything's working okay, but we'll see how it goes. So, all right. CB76 says, yo, what's going on? Joshua Payne says, sounds great. Okay, cool. So what I've been doing is, I normally have this deity microphone that's set up, the same mic that I use to make my YouTube videos set up, and I would connect that directly to my phone for the purpose of recording that for the podcast, because I was thinking if it's audio only, the audio's got to be really good. The audio for the YouTube live stream has been like not as great, and so because I've been using just earbuds, just trying to keep everything really simple. But I thought that, the live streams are getting about 1,000 views per day, and the podcast is getting like 30 listens per day. So I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. So eventually I'll get good audio on both. We'll get that figured out. I have a lot of audio stuff at my office, but I haven't been going to the office. So that's all hopefully boring stuff for you guys that I'll get sorted out. We're getting there. Okay, so we got underestimated here. Doku Tagurin is here again from Alberta, Canada. Ricky Knapp saying is here as well, saying, after watching your early morning running video, I managed to drag myself out of bed at 4:50 a.m. for some early morning miles. Thanks for the extra motivation. I hope you had a good run. I'm glad to hear that you were able to do that. I'll try this just a little bit more. Get set up just a little bit, so we're all set. Okay, so my mom's here. How's it going, Mom? How are you? Packed your phone coming in from Sherwood Park in Alberta. Good to see you. Greg is here, and Jeff Elliott says, I'm one of the podcast listeners usually. Okay, all right. So today I am still recording audio, but I'm just going to go straight from the iPhone itself and see how that goes. I don't know if it'll be any good or not. People keep saying how great like the regular just iPhone microphones are, and I'm thinking it might be better than like the earbuds, the Bluetooth earbuds that I've been using, like the microphone on that. So like, we'll see. Patrick Funk says, where can you find the podcast? The podcast is available, I think, anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's on like Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. I know for sure Spotify and Apple Podcasts are both there. And I've been trying to post links to the podcast in the description of the live stream, so hopefully you'll see them there. But the thought for today, before I get to some of the comments, you guys are coming in hot with questions already. I'm so excited for that. Today, I'm going to be doing the mukbang on Unived Elite gels. I've decided I'm not going to eat all the gels for each one. I'm just going to taste them. And then, oh boy, I forgot. I need something to put the extra stuff in. We'll use the dirty Kofuzi mug for that. So we'll try that. I'm going to dive into one already just to kind of get the ball rolling. Unived sent me these because they had reformulated some of the flavors. They've redone the packaging, so there's a little bit of a litter leash here, and this part's a little bit easier to get open. I thought that all worked out really well. And then they were supposed to have reformulated some of the flavors as well. So I'm gonna taste some of the new ones. I've tasted some of the new ones of the regular gels, like just the Unived gels. These are the Unived Elite gels. Sherry Kamak saying, Unived isn't in stock anywhere, including in their own website, must be popular. They're based out of India, and India's been under pretty strict lockdown. So I'll talk to Amit to see what's going on there. But my understanding is that they are able to do some work. So hopefully they'll be able to get some more inventory in there. But for today, what we'll do first is we'll try the Melon Sea Salt. I'll just give that a little taste. And the reason why I'll start there is because I had one of these this morning. So I'll be able to tell if I had, if they've changed the formula. He didn't tell me which ones that they've changed the flavor, like the formulations or the flavors on. I think like compositionally, they're all the same, and I made a video about that, but I'm just gonna taste all of these to see how they go. This Melon Sea Salt, I feel bad dumping the rest out, but I only need a little taste. The Melon Sea Salt, I think, tastes the same. It's pretty tasty. It tastes kind of like, I'm not getting a ton of salt flavor in there, but I am getting a lot of melon. It's almost like cantaloupe. So like, no, not cantaloupe, honeydew. So a nice, like, subtle melon flavor. I think if they made it a little bit more sour, it would end up tasting almost kind of like a Jolly Rancher. But that's a good one. I do have some water here as well to kind of cleanse the palate. All right, so let's get back to some questions. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Ricky Nip said he had a good 5 miles in there. Awesome, glad to hear that. Ahmet Yavuz Pekel, good to see you again from Istanbul. And then Greg says, when races start again, will your first race be for racing or just soaking it in and enjoy it? That's a great question. I don't know. I think it'll probably be like more of a celebration, because I can't imagine like the first race back for me will be like a marathon. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be like a 5K or 10K, something like that. And I'm probably going to run it hard just because I'm going to be happy to be able to run hard. But I think that it probably won't be something that I put too much stock in. It'll just be like racing hard for the fun of racing hard is kind of what I'm thinking. Great question. I like that one. Let's see. Stevie76 says caffeinated gels. Some of them are caffeinated, some are not. I'll let you know which ones are. I think of the ones of the elite gels that I have, the only one is double espresso. Has 100 milligrams of caffeine. There's another one, I think it's called like Choco Fudge or something like that. I don't have that one as an elite gel right now. That one has like 50 milligrams or half the caffeine in it, I think. But I've tried one of those as the elite gel, as a regular gel, and I'll tell you what I think about the flavor for it. Let's see. Joshua Payne says, Lord knows what the next 45 minutes will hold. We're about to see a different color. I think I went back too far before I told you guys I wasn't going to eat all of them all. Because each of these is like, a lot of carbs. Each of these, I think of them as doubles or like tall boys. Because these are like double like a regular gel. Most gels that I take are 20 grams of carbs. These elite gels are 45. So there's a lot in there. Let's see. Roy Garcia, this is 1 p.m. for him because he's in Vancouver. So good to see you again. Luis Becerra says, yo, what's going on? Awesome. What else we got here? Doku Tagarin saying, wish Unived would set up a Canada site. Yeah, and I know that like on Amazon, like I don't think that they have a ton of stock there either. So I know it's been problematic for some of you to be able to try and get some of this stuff. Carlos PR says hi again from Puerto Rico. Jeremiah, how's it going, Carlos? And Jeremiah Johnson says, what distances do you carry gels? Do I always carry gels with me? If I'm going longer than 10 miles, I'll probably bring at least one gel. That's usually when I start thinking about it. Like if I'm going to do like 8, lately I've been doing about a little bit more than 9 miles a day. And some days I'll bring a gel and some days I'll just forget. Or some days I'll bring a gel and forget that I have it. And so like that's kind of borderline for me. But over 10 miles, like once I'm in like 13, 15 territory, I might bring 1 or 2. So that's kind of how I tend to break it up. Sebastian Barahona says, what's up, Kofuzi? Been hearing some good stuff about the Reebok Float Ride Energy 2, and it's super affordable. Maybe take a look at that. By the way, keep beasting those early morning runs, because I can't. Well, thank you very much. And Kevin Scott coming in with that hashtag Float Ride Life. Interesting. I've been hearing stuff about it, interesting stuff about it here and there, but I've never really been too compelled to try like just the regular float ride. I'm really interested in the Float Ride Pro, but I'm disappointed that they didn't make like a substantial update, if any, to that shoe at all. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll take a look at the Float Ride Energy 2. Sounds interesting. Raymond Galatia says, got myself a birthday gift of a Forerunner 245 this past weekend. Loving it so far. That's awesome. Great to hear that. And Jeff Elliott has a 245 as well and also really likes it. Very cool. Good to hear some good stuff about that watch. Doku Tagarin says, could you read out the contents and percent of daily nutrients? Sure. Let's get into another one here. We'll go to the, let's do Mandarin Orange. And so for Mandarin Orange, for these, most of these are pretty similar in terms of like the carb ratio. It's 2-to-1, simple to complex, 30 grams simple, 15 grams complex is usually how they break it up. And that 45 grams is 15% of a daily value. And let's see, a gram of protein, which is only about 1%. And then it has magnesium chloride, sodium, and potassium. And so for magnesium and chloride, it's 56 milligrams, which is about 13%. Chloride is about 230, about 10%. Sodium is 144 milligrams, which is only of your daily value, and potassium is 98 milligrams, 2%. Now, most of those are going to be the same for there, and then I'll talk about where they differ in some of these. For most of these, I think for the elite gels, they have beta alanine and sodium bicarb, which are supposed to help you in terms of endurance and long periods of activity. And the regular gels don't have the bicarb, I think. I don't know, do they have the beta alanine? I don't really remember. But the thing that I also like about these are a lot of them have a decent amount of sodium in there. And sodium is something that I worry about for me because I'm a heavy sweater and I think my sweat is salty. So I worry about like losing a lot of the salt and potassium as I'm running. So I'm going to try this Mandarin Orange. This is another one that I've been liking before, so hopefully I haven't changed it too much. Let's see how it goes. I'm not sure if they changed that or not, but it's tasty. Nice orange flavor, almost like a creamsicle still. And that's, I think, kind of like what I remember from the last couple times that I've tasted this one. So that one's pretty good. I like it. No caffeine in this one either, but pretty tasty. All right. Let's see. We've got Christopher Sanguinos coming in from Dallas. How are you? Good to see you here. And Matthew Wenzel says, yo, dude, what's happening? Currently running in Saucony ISO Guide 2 and want to transition to the shoe with less stability. Thoughts on the Peg 36, 37, Kinvar 11, or ISO Ride ISO 2? I think that if you're going from the Guide, I think that the Ride is going to be the most similar. I think those are like sibling shoes, if I'm not mistaken. The Peg 36 is going to, or 37 is going to feel very different because those aren't stability shoes at all. I think probably like the nearest one would probably be like maybe the Freedom, like a Freedom ISO. The Freedom ISO 2, I think it was. I think has a lot of like stability-like features in it. The Freedom 3, I'm feeling them less so. The Kinvara 10 and 9, I felt like had some stability-like features in them. So those could be some other options for you as well. Frank Luhulier says, when do you take a gel in a 10-mile run? If I'm, usually I'll like anywhere around mile 4 to 6. If it's a 10-mile run, I'll take it either because maybe I'm getting, not bored isn't the right word, but maybe if like my mental focus is kind of like wandering a little bit, then I might be like, okay, maybe it's time to take a gel, get a little bit of sugar in, especially if there's caffeine in it too. That kind of helps with making sure like you're thinking about pacing a little bit more consistently, kind of gets your mind right for me. The other time might be if I get hungry. So sometimes I might take a gel on a 10-mile run at mile 3 because I'm like, if I didn't eat breakfast, I might be like, I feel hungry right now. I almost drank this, by the way, which has 2 different flavors gels in it right now. But so I might take it around mile 3 if I'm feeling hungry, or I might just kind of wait till mile like 6 or 7. And it seems late at that point, but then you know you're still got to go another several miles to get to 10 miles. So I don't really worry too much about it. Sometimes people are like, well, at that point, why do you even bother? But I'm like, I brought it to eat it, and if I'm hungry, I'll eat it. So I usually will listen to like a hunger cue or a mental like attention lapse cue. John Eskew says, do you bring and use water with gels? I don't. I'm pretty good with gels. I'm lucky. Like my running buddy, he has to take his. If he has like, if we do cliff shots or if we do goos, those are real gummy. It's like toothpaste in terms of consistency. And so when we have those, he has to stop and take water with his. I could probably take it or leave it if it's cold enough. If it's hot out, then it's just like, it's like eating peanut butter, then it's going to get real like gummy. So then I might take some water. But when it's chilly out, it's almost like you're eating a candy bar, so like it's more like you're eating. So I don't need it. A lot of people do. I don't bring water when I'm taking the Unived gels. I don't bring water because I need it. But if I were in a race, I would still take on liquid because I want to make sure I'm still taking on liquid in a longer race. But I don't need it to get the gel down. And so that's like a feature that a lot of people like about this kind of gel, Martin, Science and Sport, like some of the thinner ones, is that like you can take liquid if you want liquid, but you don't have to have liquid to take it. So that's a feature for me. Luis says, hard to get those gels. Tried Martin and Unived, but don't know if I have to use VPN on a web browser because it wouldn't pass my card for shipping in your country. Oh, that's interesting. Frank Lahulia says, I like the top retainers. Oh yeah, like the litter leash. Yeah, I like it. Sometimes I get too excited though and it rips all the way through and I'm like, no. Because I feel like there's so much thought that goes into those. Sometimes I wish the litter leashes could be a little bit thicker, but then it's like, then you're really engineering a lot into the top of these things. But like I kind of wish that there was a way that you can, like, if you just squeezed it hard enough, it would pop open, but then they probably accidentally pop open all the time. So that might not be the best way to do it. Let's see here. All right, just making sure that the audio is still recording properly today on the phone for the podcast. Sorry about that. Josh Payne says, I haven't run a full marathon yet, but was experimenting with fuel on long runs before my race was canceled. Really love the honey stinger waffles over gels. Have you tried those? I've eaten those, but like I've asked people that like those, and I was asking Blake at TFXC, and he's a honey stinger elite athlete, and I was like, those waffles, when do you eat those? Because I've had them before and they just crumble up as soon as like you put them in a bag, or like if I put them in a vest. I was like, well, maybe if I had like a long run and it's like just running through trails, spending a couple hours outside, maybe I could use it that way. And he's like, you eat them before, like you eat them, like you have them in your car and you eat them when you're like on the way somewhere, or you like eat them in the car when you're in the parking lot at the trail, and then you head out on the trail is what he told me. I'm sure you can eat them other ways if you want, but for me, I just ended up smushing them. And so I do like those. I think like the Stroop waffles, I think they taste delicious. I think they're delicious snacks, but I haven't tried like running with them because I just feel like it would be a mess for me, and I would just be like, I'm also holding a camera when I run, but then so like trying to eat like a crumbled cookie and opening that, I think would be really hard for me. Cody Davis said, but maybe I'll have to try that now that we're talking about it so much. Cody Davis says, with your video today, I wanted to ask, which camera do you like running with more? I have a Hero 7 Black, but I'm looking at getting the 1R. I like having them both. If I could only pick one, I would pick the GoPro Hero, because the 1R, it just takes a long time to work with, and if you're trying to make videos like every day or trying to make videos quickly, it's a long time. And so like I've at this point, I'm like, maybe once, maybe twice a week, I'll have a video with like 360 footage in it, because otherwise just to do it all the time, it just becomes a grind and it becomes less fun because it takes so much extra work. I would say it's not, yeah, it's like double the workflow. It just takes a long time. I wish there were a way to make it faster. I don't think it's 1R's fault. But I mean, maybe if I had a faster computer in terms of some of the rendering speeds, but it just, you end up doing it twice. And so that's the thing I don't like about it. So if you're only going to have one, I would say get a Hero, get like a regular action camera, and then get like the 360 camera if you're really getting into it. Josh Payne says, I find that most gels either upset my stomach or dry out my mouth. Definitely need to plan for water. Yeah, I know there's lots of people that have very sensitive GI, or like maybe not always, but when it comes to running they do. And so lots of people have to do a lot of guess and check. You kind of like try a whole bunch that, you know, even within a single brand, you might have only certain flavors that work for you. And so I definitely know that it can be an interesting series of testing. By the way, I was hungry before we got here, and I was going to eat something, but I was like, well, maybe it's better, since I'm going to have all these gels, to not eat beforehand. But now I'm just taking these gels like on an empty stomach, so the sugar is just hitting me really fast. So I'm feeling it already. Next one I'm going to try is, well, I'll save this one for last, because I know this one's going to be good. This is my favorite. This is the best flavor that they make. It's the Camille Herons flavor. It's the Vanilla Sea Salt. I'll save that for last. The next one I'll try, I've had one of these in the Elite Gel, the regular gel, the single ones. This is the Elite Gel. Same, pretty much the same numbers. Some of the sugars are different sometimes in these, but for the most part, Doku Tagarin, most of the time most of the numbers are the same. For the Elite Gels, I think that they're all pretty close, except for some have caffeine and some don't. It's the regular gels where there's a little bit more variation. But this one I had the black cherry. Oh, it was black cherry that I had in the regular flavor. And the black cherry, and this is Berry Blast. And the black cherry, before tasted very much like a melted cough drop. Like if you melted a Luden's, that's kind of what it tastes. If you do you guys have Luden's where you are? The cough drops, that's what it tasted like. But in the reformulation, it tasted much better. It tasted like black cherries, so it was like delicious. So I like that one. So I think that one's like probably like so far it's got my vote for most improved. This berry blast is nice. It tastes like fruit punch Gatorade now. This is good. Berry blast. I like it. Not medicine-y. Sometimes like red berry and gels tend to get very medicine-y flavored. And I think it's probably just because like it's a strong flavor and a lot of medicines end up using it to mask the flavor of the medicine. So I don't think that it tastes like medicine. It's just that I associate those flavors. But this berry blast doesn't taste like medicine at all. Really good. I like it. I like it. All right, 3 down, 2 more to go. I also brought some cookies to like some graham cookies to kind of snack on, just in case I needed more of a palate cleanser than just water. Jeremiah Johnson says, great reason to go on a run after this live chat. After the live chats is usually when I've been taking the girls outside around the block a couple times to ride their bikes. So my daughter has a little bit of stomach ache today, but we'll see if we still end up going out. But yeah, so I'll have a chance to burn out some of this sugar. Blaine Masterson says, just walked in the door for my 10 miler. Awesome. You're on the big screen of my core and stability exercise. That's cool. Some of you guys have been sharing images that you've been putting me on a TV, and like it's weird, and sending me those pictures. And it's weird for me to see me on the TV still. But I think it's pretty cool. Thank you very much for that. Hope you had a good 10 miler. Sebastian Barahona says, Kofuzi, if you get that logo at a heart made for you, bro, and slap it on a tee or hoodie, would be literally the greatest looking running merch. Okay. I did it as a test. I didn't know if like people would really be interested in that. So, I mean, if you're interested, I think we could do that. And get some, I don't know that it'll work on a hat, like not with the way that Teespring does the hats, but I think we can get it. I think we can get it on a shirt. I think we could do that. Jeff Elliott says he likes stroopwafels for ultra running and would eat them while walking. See, I could see that. I could see that. I also really like honey, so I think that that is something that I would enjoy like eating and running. That's the thing that I like about like ultras, or like the idea of ultras, is that like you stop to eat, and I feel like it's a combination of things that I'm good at. I'm pretty good at running. I'm very good at eating. I'm pretty good at eating on the run. And so, like, I think, like, if, I don't know, I mean, it might be playing to my strengths there. So, it might be something you have to check out more of. Inez Dunbar says, hi, Kofuzi. How long and what height do you normally use for the normal side camera shots with the selfie stick? So, I usually have it extended all the way out. Let me see if I have the selfie stick here. I don't know where it is. And so I have it extended all the way out, but like the angle of the camera, if this is like fully flat and the lens is looking like this, I'll have it tilted up so it's looking at me. You might see a little bit of stick in there, but I like to have it like, you know, fully extended. I think it's like 36 inches, but at an angle, whatever the angle is maybe like a 40-degree angle. I'm trying to think. And so I have it that way. And so that's kind of what the side shot looks like. Very rarely do I have it not fully extended. And so like it might seem further or closer because the angle at which I'm holding it requires like for me to still keep the camera like looking the way I want to. I might have to like, the overall distance might not be as far away if the angle is greater or whatever, how the geometry works. But I usually have it almost always fully extended. The only time I don't have it fully extended when I take a shot is if I'm doing like face shots and I want to get closer to my face but still show a lot of like the scenery either to the side of me or like behind me. Then I either might not have it extended at all and it's a shorter stick, you know, it's like a 12-inch stick or however long it is, like fully compacted, or I might extend it like halfway and then have it that way. Then you get still a closer up shot, because then it like gives you a different shot of like farther away, and then closer. And so like that gives you 2 angles to work with. So that's how I play with the camera and the selfie stick length. Let's see. Carlos Seja says, Kofuzi, what's your mile PR? I don't know. I haven't done like a mile. I haven't raced a mile in a long time. And for me, like PR, I consider PR something that has a chip time on it. And so like when I know a lot of people lately have been getting real mad at other people on Strava because they've been like claiming PRs and their moving time is different than their total run time. And I think that's really funny. But I'm like, if you just make the rule, it's not a PR unless you have a chip, then it makes that a lot easier. But I think that it's somewhere around 550. I think that's what I would say. Cody Davis says, Kofuzi Run Club shirt just got delivered. Awesome. I hope you enjoy. My parents told me that they just bought some too. So that'll be cool to see them in it. Doku Talgurun says, mixing up some swamp water. When you mixed all the soda fountain offerings in a single cup. Is that what you call it? I used to do that all the time. Like growing up, after church, there would be like a whole bunch of sodas. And like I was old enough where my parents would, like no one would freak out if like I was pouring sodas myself, and I would just pour a whole bunch of different ones in the after church kind of like, when everyone's having donuts and stuff. So I would do that all the time. And then I used to do that a lot when I worked at Taco Bell. And then I also did it a lot when I worked at a Mexican restaurant. But when I worked at the Mexican restaurant, the different fountain, I would just do like a fake ginger ale, mostly Sprite, and then a little bit of Coke on top. That's probably my favorite. Ross Paul says, hi Kofuzi, do you think carrying the selfie stick impacts your running performance, extra weight, running form, and stability? Yes, I think it does. How much? I'm not sure. But, I'm okay with it. Joshua Payne says, this week in the Midwest has rain each day. Thankfully, working from home allows some flexibility to fit in a run throughout the day. Got to keep the weekly mileage up. Yeah, I know. It's going to be weird weather. It's been weird weather here, so. But I'm glad you were able to kind of play around with it, because it's not like it hasn't been like raining all day kind of weather. So there's usually like a pocket, a little window here and there that we can go. Martha says, can you show us the logo being talked about? I don't have a way of showing it to you now because everything I have is recording something. But it's on the Teespring. If you go into like below any of the videos and go into Teespring, there's a sticker. It's a round sticker, and it's got a dragon that Greg made for me. And the idea with the dragon is that Korean dragons are water creatures, not fire breathers like European dragons are. And I thought, well, water, I run through the water a lot of the time, and it's holding an orb, which is supposed to be a symbol of its wisdom. So it's getting a little bit pompous, but I figured like I wanted to, I thought that was a cool kind of way of like a nod to both sides of heritage. And then the other thing, I didn't want it to be like I wanted it to be an ugly dragon, but I didn't want it to be like a old school like Chinese dragon kind of dragon, because I want it to be like an Asian American dragon. So that's where that logo comes from. All right. Bridge Master X says, just on the 4x4x48 challenge. Is it something you would consider? I'm not familiar with what that is. So I don't know what it is. All right, I'm going to try the double espresso. This is the one that I'm most excited about. 100 milligrams of caffeine in it. The numbers are all pretty similar. Ooh, I'm getting a strong coffee flavor already. I think I had double espresso or a coffee flavored one in the regular gels, and I really liked it. So this is nice. Ooh, this is nice. I think it tastes different than the coffee one that I had from the regular gels. The regular gels one had more of like a caramel hint to it. This double espresso one has almost more of like a coffee chocolate kind of flavor. Not really chocolate, but like more of that, like, not bitterness, but I guess a base note to it. Tasty. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm tasting like still like a little hint of not medicine-iness, but like something that's not like completely straight up coffee flavor. So there's something in there way at the end of the finish that I'm tasting, but it's better than the last one. The last one was like, I'm getting coffee flavor, but I also feel like I'm just drinking like powdered caffeine a little bit of that sense. And this one covers that up quite a bit, except for way a little bit right at the end. But very good. And 100 milligrams of caffeine sounds nice. Let's see. Christopher Alipa says, love the Nova Blast review. Are you planning on reviewing the Cumulus 22, which is getting positive marks? I don't think so. I reviewed the Gel Nimbus, and I reviewed the Evo Ride and the Nova Blast this year. So it's kind of like a hodgepodge. I didn't hit many of the main notes. I'm probably not going to get to the Glide Ride this year, and I probably won't look at the Cumulus or like the Nimbus Light. No reason particular. It's just there's a lot of other shoes out there on the market, and I can only run so many miles. So I don't currently have any plans for it, but you know, we'll see. You know, it's an unpredictable year right now, so it's hard to say like anything with certainty anymore. Vasil Nikolaenko says, hello, do you like the Nike Zoom Fly 3? I am looking for something for tempo and intervals. Would you prefer something else over the Zoom Flies? I thought it was a great shoe, a little bit heavy, but I couldn't really run in it without putting an aftermarket insole in there. So, but I think that's something that has to go, that's something that my foot is dealing with, but I did want to put that out there when I'm talking about the shoe. For tempo, I like it a lot. For intervals, depending on how short they are, I might prefer the turbo. So if your intervals are like 800s and 400s and like on a track, I think that the Zoom Fly 3 might feel a little bit clunky, trying to get around those turns real quick. But if your intervals are half mile or mile repeats, sorry, we're by the hospital. What's going on? Yeah, sorry, ambulance going by really slowly. But if you're going, like, if your intervals are like half mile repeats or fartleks or like, you know, 2 mile or 3 mile intervals, then I think the Zoom Fly 3 could be a really good choice. It'd be a lot of fun. Cody Davis wants the Dragon logo on a Nike Aeroswift singlet. I'm working on a singlet, like a race kit for the summertime. So I got to figure out what I want to put on there. I think it's just going to be non-elite. It's going to say non-elite on it. Maybe there'll be a logo on there. I'm not sure, but I'm working on, like, there are, like, Teespring doesn't have like a race kit option, you know, like running shorts or like a running like tank or even a running shirt. And so I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll buy a whole bunch of them and try to get a gauge of how many I might sell. And then we'll do kind of like, you know, once it's out, like inventory kind of thing. Miguel Acorta says, hey Kofuzi, have you ever experienced IT band issues? I have not. I thought I was getting it at one point, but it ended up not being the case. It was just a shoe was disagreeing with me. Once I switched the shoe, I was fine. But unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience there. Big Willie coming in with the super chat. Thank you so much. Mukbang on YouTube Live. Hey Kofuzi, what's your OnlyFans? So thanks, Big Willie, for coming in, and thanks for the super chat. Good to see you here, man. Thank you. Bridge Master X says, the 4x4x48 challenge is 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Devised by ex-Navy SEAL David Goggins. Oh, I saw someone else do that. I think did Farrah do something? Farrah did something similar to that. 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. That sounds like a lot. How many miles does that end up being total? This is the Vanilla Sea Salt. I don't think that they've ever changed the formulation of this one. I've had it over like 3 or 4 like generations of gels, but this is my favorite one by far. It just tastes nice. Yeah, it's good. But I've had a lot of gels just sitting here on a YouTube live stream, so I'm with apologies gonna dump the rest of it out just because I can't like eat that much gel. But this is the best flavor. If you're only gonna get one, get this one. And then if you want with caffeine, the double espresso is pretty nice. The Choco Fudge also has some caffeine, I believe, as well. And that one does a much better job, at least for the regular gels, of tasting just like chocolate and not chocolate plus a medicine-ness. So they've smoothed that one out too. So that one's really good. So lots of good things to report from Unived. I feel like they've been iterating a lot frequently, and they've been improving every single time. See, George Hernandez says, water fountains are going to be questionable this year. Any suggestions for a hydration vest? Yeah, I've been running in 3 different ones. One is the Nathan Vaporcar 4 liters, although I have an older one. There's a newer one out now. That's a great one. I like it. It only holds enough space in the back for a bladder or like a jacket and a couple of other like layers, like weather layers maybe, and everything else is on the front, so it's pretty minimal. And everything's designed for it to be run hardened, and so like it gets wet, but it wicks and dries pretty quickly, and I really like that one. I've also been running in a Camelback Octane, the 18 liter, as a running commute backpack. So that one's a lot bigger in the back, good for like day-long adventures, I would think, maybe half-day-long adventures. I've never gone on a day adventure, so I don't know, but you can fit a lot of stuff in there, and I can run commute in it. And then there's another one, I keep forgetting the name of it, the model of it, but it's comparable in size and functionality to the Vapor Car 4 liter, also from Camelback, is the one that I've been running in as well. Has lots of pockets up front for water bottles up front, and then you could also put a 2 liter thing in the back if you wanted to do it that way. So those are some good ones. I like. I have a flip belt, and I have a water bottle that fits the flip belt exactly, and it's pretty good, but it's hard to get back in there. So if it's like a long run where I'm like just going out for a long run, I might bring that one, because then I don't have to wear the full vest, and I could just wear a flip belt. But if I'm trying to run fast, I have to stop to put it back in, and so like that one I don't like so much. And I know there's spy belts that have the little water grenades on each side, or sometimes you can put them in back of you. I've seen those as well, but those always bounce around too much for my comfort, especially if I'm trying to go fast. So I'm not a huge fan of those. Let's see. Jason Matthews says, have you tried the Swiss-made On shoes? I have. Those are the shoes that gave me what I thought might be a developing IT band issue. I think it was just loading my hamstrings or my quadriceps in a way that made them have to work like a little extra hard, or in an awkward way. And so it really started to hurt like the outside of my left knee, or I thought it was hurting the outside of my left knee, but it just, once I switched out of that shoe, like 2 runs later, the problem went completely away. Let's see. Bob Random says, could I use the Peg 36 for fast-paced track workouts? Yes, I think you can. Absolutely. Vasil Nikolenko. Sorry if you guys hear some stuff in the background. My daughter's watching the live-action Alice in Wonderland. We watched the cartoon Alice in Wonderland last night. I think they also watched the live-action one last night too, but she's watching that again now. And so that's what you're hearing if you hear that in the background. Let's see. Mark Chang Coco says, yikes, does that happen in the middle of the night? What are we talking about here? Sorry about that. I think I'm coming in the middle of something. Guillermo Munoz says, best half marathon shoes. I have the Boston, but was considering picking up the Beacon 2, which are now heavily discounted. I don't know that I would consider the Beacon 2 a racing shoe, although it's so versatile and it's a pretty lightweight shoe, so I definitely think you could do that. For best half marathon shoes, there's a lot of really great options there. Basically all like the marathon shoes that my feet aren't tough enough to run a marathon in, I put in like the half marathon category. So I put like the Adios 5 in there, Meta Racer for sure. Speed Elite could be a one that fits in there, but that shoe is not my favorite shoe. I think the toe box is just too small on it. You could run the Rincon in that. That would be good. Fuel Cell TC, I think would be a good choice. Hyperion Tempo, another good choice. Razor 3. Those are some of the ones that come to mind immediately. Lewis Cameron, when he heard the ambulance go by, he thought it was a purge starting in Chicago. Kurt Rurson says, do you expect racing to come back to a local level by summer? Maybe by fall. I don't know about summer. I think that people are going to kind of wait till after Labor Day here to see kind of like the lay of the land. Before like we start seeing some racing come back. Maybe there might, I have a hard time imagining it, but like maybe there might be like a fun run, 5K run walk kind of thing that happens, like if it's for a really good cause. But even then, it's just like it amasses so many people. Yeah. So, oh yeah, Michael Susser says Billy Yang did the 4x4x48. I saw some pictures of what he said. He was doing something for 48 hours. I didn't know what that was. Okay, that makes sense. Laurent Lefebvre says, hey, just got here. What's the difference between those gels and the normal ones? The normal ones have about half the sugar and about half the volume. and they don't have the sodium bicarb in it that these have. And so sodium bicarb is supposed to help with blood pH for a longer duration activities, and help balance things out. And so they're supposed to help you to keep going for longer. And they also are believed to help you with recovering faster too. MCM says, do you think the Nova Blast could be the shoe of the year? I think they could very well be for a lot of people. I don't know that they will be for me, but I think for a lot of people they will be. I know from the comments, people are loving that shoe. And I didn't realize people loved it so much. I had no idea. Devesh Dama says, what would be your tips on improving cadence? I'm struggling to get it beyond 160 after trying to run at my MAF heart rate. I would say I'm not sure how well running MAF and cadence go together. Excuse me, a little gassy, eating all those gels. Not that the gels give me gas, but like tasting 5 in one sitting is a lot. I'm not sure how much that ends up being volume-wise, but it didn't fill this cup up in terms of the leftovers. So like I think I ended up eating a lot of the gels. So like the thing, if you want to improve cadence, shorten your stride. So that's how you do that. Pick up and try to minimize ground contact time. So like just let your feet like bounce, pick your feet up real fast, and then shorten the stride a little bit. That's how you improve cadence. I'm not a big fan of like running by cadence. I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of people talk about it as like one of the main things that they look at. I'm not, I guess, sophisticated enough. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I understand the premise, but it's not something that I pay a lot of attention to. Bridgemaster X says, loving the Nova Blast. Actually got a 5K PB in them, 1901. Wow. More than just a daily trainer. That's fast. That's real fast. I don't know that I can run that fast in them. I ran a couple of fast miles in them, a little bit under 7 minutes a mile, and it felt like I had to really work to get there. Maybe it was just me on that day. But, I mean, I'll definitely try to do that and should do some faster miles in them as I keep testing them out. But, I mean, everything about the shoe to me screams, like, easy run day or daily trainer maybe. So, like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like impossible to do a faster mile for me in those, but I felt like I was working for it. I'll keep at it. J. Mike Remy says, lots of thoughts about weather. Feels like a win-win when the morning is nasty weather, but get a nicer day to enjoy later in the day. Run was going to happen, rain or shine. Best of both. I mean, I like running in cooler weather, so like I've been pretty happy. In fact, I mean, as much as I'm like, oh, it's too cold for me, this is my favorite running temperature. So I've been happy, and then I can still in the afternoon, like after the live stream, take the girls out and they're fine. So it is maybe a win-win. Review the Fitly Sub 90 hydration pack. It's super low profile. I'm not familiar with that. I'll take a look. Lewis Cameron says, thoughts on the Jordan Trunners? I mean, I'm never going to wear a Jordan shoe. I don't know if it's a good or a bad shoe or not, but like I'm not going to ever wear Jumpman anything because I grew up a Knicks fan, so I can't. Carlos Seja says, what's the best shoe for the 1600? I think the New Balance 5280. I don't know. I'm not a miler, so I really don't know. But that shoe is designed for the mile. So that or like just a regular track spike. What is it called? What's the Nike like vapor line of spike called? I forget. I want to call it the Dragonfly, but that's not it. But that one's supposed to be pretty insane for running on track surfaces. So we'll see. Chris Greco, fuel cell TC versus the Rebel. I mean that video will come eventually. But one I would use, I mean, the TC is supposed to be the training companion to the RC, but I suspect that like if I get my hands on the RC, that like I'm gonna think that it's too hard for me as a non-elite amateur to be able to run really well in. TC seems like a racing shoe to me, or very similar to like the Zoom Fly 3 in terms of use case. The Rebel seems much more nimble than the TC does to me. It's much lower to the ground. It's not as much, not lower to the ground and not much stack height. Same, two ways of saying the same thing. But I feel a lot more secure, like planted when I'm in the shoe in a good way. And I'm not getting the carbon fiber bump. Although I do feel like there's like a little shank type action going on in there, so I don't think it's just the foam that I'm feeling when I run the shoes. So they're similar, but I think that there are some differences too. I wouldn't really consider them interchangeable shoes. Louis Becerra says, Jamie would be excited if you have said that the Asics is the shoe of the year. I think so. I think he would be. Mark Chang Coco says, Rincon or Nova Blast for training? Depends on the type of training. I like the Rincon for faster days. And the Nova Blast so far, I like it for daily training and easier days. So if you're looking for a daily trainer, I'd probably push you toward the Nova Blast. But I might also ask you, like, how are your feet in terms of toe boxes normally? The Rincon is a tight toe box. The Nova Blast is a big toe box. So if you're looking for a little bit more room, then I might push you towards the Nova Blast. All right. I'll answer one more from Lauren, and then I gotta get going. When watching the 50-50-50 movie on Iron Man, the guy was injecting water mixed with salt in his blood to get more energy. Would these gels changing the pH of your blood kind of be the same but eating? I've never heard of injecting water. Well, I guess water mixed with salt in his blood to get more energy. So just injecting saline. I don't know what the purpose of injecting saline would be other than to increase hydration to your muscles. But the gels, the sodium bicarb, I mean, the research on sodium bicarb, I think, is not that thorough. And so I'm not really sure how much of a benefit it is or isn't. It's a big part of the Unived gels, and they're really big on it. But in terms of, like, people saying, like, to be able to, like completely, like, mitigate any, like, lactic acid that would be in your blood, I think they say you'd have to take a ton of it, basically eat, like, heaping spoonfuls of it. And they've done tests on sprinters taking heaping spoonfuls of bicarb, like, before a race and trying to figure out, like, does it help them. And for a lot of them, they said that there was a benefit in terms of blood pH, but they also said that, like, there were severe gastrointestinal issues that some of them had as well. And so, like, that's way more than, I think, 200 milligrams of sodium bicarb that's in here. So I don't know that it's exactly like injecting saline solution when you're taking the sodium bicarb that's in here. I like to think of it more as, like, you're taking it in and it's helping you to, like, even out. Cool, go for it. It helps you to even out. Sorry, my daughter was showing me something in Emoji Blitz, which we've been playing together a lot. I think it helps you to make sure that, like, over a longer term, like if you're running an ultra or out there for hours and hours, that it helps kind of clear the lactic acid in that regard. So I don't think it's something that's necessarily so fast acting, like the heaping spoonfuls of bicarb experiments, but I think it's more like, I think of it as more of, as me, someone that's not an ultra runner, is something that helps me with recovery, like, while I'm exercising as well. So that's kind of like how I see it. I'm not sure 100% on, like, how much it's needed, but it's something that it's in here. I like taking these gels, especially the tall boys, and so, like, I can't pinpoint what part of it that I like, but I know I like them. And so maybe it's the bicarb, maybe it's not. Maybe the bicarb does nothing for me, but overall, like, the volume of the gels is nice on these days where I'm not bringing water. So that's kind of how I think about it. All right, I'm going to leave it there, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Thanks for putting up with me. Let me know, like, in the comments later in this, or, like, if you guys like these mukbangs. They're not all going to be running related. At one point, I'm going to do, like, a pizza one, I think. And maybe just do a variety of different frozen pizzas, something like that. So we'll keep it mixed up in terms of what we do for the mukbangs. And if you guys like them, if you guys think, like, these are dumb, stop doing them. I can take it or leave it. But I think it's kind of fun just to mix up, have different themes on different days. For tomorrow, I'll be on Instagram 6 a.m. Martha says, "Sound like you're getting a sugar crash." I might be. But tomorrow I'll be on Instagram at 6 a.m. and I'll be back here. I think I might have a theme idea for Tuesday. It's not going to be tacos, but I might have a theme for Tuesday on YouTube. So come check it out again, 3 p.m. Thanks everyone for checking in today, and I hope you guys are staying safe on your runs, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.